Welcome to Bible Study with Fred. I'm going to read from various Proverbs in Proverbs chapter 17, starting in verse 12, and make some comments. We'll see how far I get. I hope you'll follow along with me. Verse 12 of chapter 17 of Proverbs. Let a bear robbed of her whelps meet a man rather than a fool in his folly. A she-bear robbed of her cubs will rip you apart. This is likened to the damage a fool in his folly does. Foolishness and fools in Parliament cost England its American colony. There have been books written about that blunder, including one called The Price of Folly. Young people, when you're trying to understand if the person that is in front of you is the one God sent for you to marry, just remember that if this person fits the category of the fool we've been talking about, then your life with them will be a lifelong train wreck. Behaviors that are funny, cute, or eccentricities now may bankrupt you, destroy the spiritual nature of your home, and cause you unimaginable sorrow. Heed God's warnings here. Don't partner for any reason, business or personal, with a fool. Now, verse 13. Whoso rewardeth evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. There's a potent take on this verse if you use one of the definitions in the Bible of evil for malice, maliciousness, and violence, or an intention to do violence. Genesis 37:20. Come now therefore, let us slay him and cast him into some pit. We will say, some evil beast hath devoured him. We will see what will become of his dreams. Jonah 3:8. But let man and beast be covered with sackcloth, and cry mightily unto God. Yea, let them turn every one from his evil way, and from the violence that is in their hands. An evil, violent person who rewards evil for good will never know peace in his family. His house will always be cursed with evil. Men who beat their wives and children mercilessly, abusing them, create a legacy that from generation to generation, violence against the physically weaker in their family is performed. I've read that domestic abuse travels from generation to generation without God's intervention. From a prophetic viewpoint, the Jews of the first century rewarded Christ's absolute goodness with evil and brought down the wrath of God on their heads as much of the last 2,000 years, for much of the last 2,000 years. Let me say that again. From a prophetic viewpoint, the Jews of the first century rewarded Christ's absolute goodness with evil and brought down the wrath of God on their heads for much of the last 2,000 years. They chose an earthly king again over God's authority, just as they had done in the days of Samuel. 1 Samuel 8:7. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people, and all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. John 19:15. But they cried out, away with him, crucify him. Pilate saith unto them, Shall I crucify your king? The chief priest answered, We have no king but Caesar. And by their own agreement, they brought down God's wrath on their posterity. Matthew 27:25. Then answered all the people and said, His blood be on us and on our children. So you can see the prophetic impact of this verse as well as its practical side. Now, verse 14. The beginning of strife is when one letteth out water, therefore leave off contention before it be meddled with. The beginning of an argument, a conflict between, let's say, two people within the church body, is like when someone puts a hole in a dam or a dike and water begins to flow, or when they're attempting to flood one field from another and pull down a small section of an earthen wall. The water pressure forces the hole to get bigger and bigger until, in the case of a dam, it collapses like the one that caused the famous Johnstown flood that destroyed a town, or a dike in Holland holding back the sea and hundreds of acres of farmland is flooded. Remember, it only takes one small thing to set off an argument or a contention that lasts for a lifetime. So leave an argument. Don't start it with a small opening so that people around you can get their noses in it and begin a flood that can destroy a church body and cast a pall over the worship. Contention, when it is meddled with, turns into strife, as one commentator said. Just leave it alone. The biggest point of contention in a small assembly, like you might be in, is the carnal drive to dominate others. Some people just have an aggressive personality and will brook no opposition. You can't come to God to worship if you believe that whatever you decide is from God, and anyone who disagrees with you or doesn't want to do what you want them to do is wicked or carnal. You start a small resentment with a person whose personality is not dominating or aggressive, and if they are passive, the passive-aggressive type, the resentment will build and build, and like water leaking through a dam, will one day force the dam to break. Everyone else gets involved, but then you've got the death of a congregation. Whenever you start feeling a little bitter or hostile towards someone who has suggested something you aren't comfortable with, think about this first. Whenever you feel frustrated because someone just ain't getting with the program, think about this first. So um, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to pick it up in the next, in verse 11 or 15, excuse me, next time. So please read your Bible, study your Bible, cross-reference the verses, pray to God for wisdom and understanding, and then share your interpretation with someone else. Open the Bible and let God speak to you today, speak to your heart. Now, you can purchase my comments on Proverbs on Amazon, or you can just follow me on blogger.com. But if you watched the video this far, would you please click like and subscribe or follow and share this video with others? Thank you.